Yay Networks.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Real Talk Kim podcast. I'm so excited that you're here with me today. Y'all know I am an excited person anyway, but I'm extra excited today because I have Mimi back with me. I'm so honored that I get to have a mama that is amazing. People always ask me, Mimi, about our relationship. And they're always like, have y'all always been this close? We have not always been this close.
No.
There's hope for all of you mothers out there that are having crazy daughters. She will come around. But today we want to welcome you. Thank you for joining us. No matter where you're joining us from, I'm just so grateful. Whether you're watching this podcast in October or you are watching this 12 years down the road and you're like, man, this podcast was done in 2022 and 23, and here all of a sudden it's already 2030. Welcome. This was a divine appointment for you. I believe with everything on the inside of me that God is in the details, Mimi. I feel like that God does divine appointments. God is divinely putting you, there's never a coincidence. I always say that a coincidence is God showing up but choosing to stay anonymous.
Yes.
So we believe that they were sent today for this podcast because there's a word that's going to be said today that's going to change your life. But here's what I need from you. I need you to go right now, go to wherever you're watching this at, whether it is a YouTube channel or it's on Apple Podcast or iHeartRadio Podcast, or maybe someone just sent this to you. Wherever you're watching this from, go subscribe. Go on and push that subscribe button. I never, ever, ever do a podcast that is not going to bring you something that is going to enrich your life and change your life. I am not the kind of pastor, author, motivational speaker. I'm not the one that is just going to always tell you about how you're broken and mean, but how you can fix the progress, how you can fix the situation, how you can make your life better because you are the CEO of your life. And as long as you ain't dead, God ain't done. He just needs you to work with him. And so thank you for subscribing. Thank you for sharing this with your community, with your family, with your loved ones. Thank you so much for being a part of my world. Thank you to all of you that subscribe, all of you that partner with Real Talk Kim Ministries, all of you that call Limitless Church your home, whether you have never walked in the building and just part of our e-community. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Y'all, do me another favor. Go leave a review. Leave a review. Tell why this podcast is necessary, because this is how people decide whether they're going to watch the podcast or not, or listen to the podcast. It's from your reviews of your testimony of what these podcasts are doing in your life. It's a lot of work doing these podcasts. Me, got to change clothes, got to sit in front of the camera with Manson, and we got to sit here and do these podcasts and literally let the Lord lead us. And so thank you for being a part of our life. Thank you to all of you that are part of my RTK Inner Circle. You can be a part of my RTK Inner Circle right now by going to realtalkkim.com and signing up for the Inner Circle, which is powerful because every 6 months we have a retreat at Limitless.
Yes, wonderful.
And it is so much fun. Did you know we're even doing the cruise again?
Yes.
But the cruise is open to the public in July. Yep. And then lastly, before we get into it, I want to thank every single one of you for buying this book. You got to get up. Me and this woman right here come together. She's helped me write 5 books, Beautifully Broken, Beautifully Whole, When Your Bad Meets Is Good, Shut Hell Up, and now You Gotta Get Up. You can go get this book for all of your friends. They're going to incredible gifts. I wrote this for people that don't like to finish books. You will finish this book.
Yes.
You can even listen to it on audio, where I went into the studio and I read the entire book to you. You can go to Amazon right now. Put in the Amazon, Real Talk Kim.
In fact, I think it was first, right?
Yes.
Wasn't it number 1?
It was number 1.
And Audibles.
Yeah, Mimi, you know what's so funny about that is my voice is what everybody makes fun of.
And yet they want to hear it.
They want to hear it. It was like God gave me a little kiss on the cheek with that.
Yes.
Because so many people are like, what did you eat? What did you do? Gargle with asphalt this morning? And so thank y'all for making this number 1 in audio. Thank you so much that you love and support us. And Mimi, I'm super excited about this. I'm super excited about this podcast with you. I believe the Lord is going to really heal some people today.
Amen.
So what I want you to do, y'all, is go get your book, go get your RTK journal, go tell a friend, get you some popcorn, Sit down. Let's heal. That's what we're about to do, heal. We're about to heal. You're about to answer some questions with your wise self. I can't wait. We'll be right back right after this break. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. I'm Real Talk Kim. This is Mimi. Mimi, thank you for joining me today.
Oh, I love it.
So today we're going to talk about friendships.
Yes.
And I have some questions that you guys have asked. And so me and Mimi are going to go through and answer some of these questions for you. And I believe we got a lot of great questions here. And they're not just about friendships. So we're going to start, though, because it's very hard getting girlfriends.
Yeah, it is.
I remember when you used to tell me, Mimi.
Yes.
You used to tell me, girl, it's us four and no more. You didn't have any friends. You were so dedicated to just being a mom, being a wife, but you had no friends.
Because we pastored. Your dad would say, Ann, you just can't do it. Say, because women are fickle. You can't have
And they
best
are.
friends in the church because the other women will get upset. And if that one gets upset with you, you just can't do it. So I really spent a life of loneliness except for my family.
Yeah, but I remember when you got your first friend.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to start. And this first question is, I know we don't battle against flesh and blood.
Yeah.
How do we as women balance a friendship with two friends? One of the friends tries to do the most to make the other friend jealous. Shall I start?
Yes, because I know what you're going to say.
Yes, I would cut the friend off that is causing
you
all
would.
the. I would. I'm in a season, Mimi,
Yes.
where chaos and confusion is not of God. I do not have time to deal with someone that cannot allow. I'm not your boyfriend for starters,
Right.
Right, and so any girl that is always trying to do the most to make your other friend jealous, that is too much work.
Yes.
It is too
That's
much.
not really a friend either.
No, because I believe friendships are supposed to push you to break through and not break down.
And why can they not have more than one friend?
It's the weirdest thing.
No.
So I had a friendship one time. I've never been one to have a lot of friends because I was always like, women are so petty.
Yeah.
But God created us to have friends. Like friends push
Relationships.
Relationships.
God is a relationship God.
But I used to say stuff to me like, I only got guy friends.
I know.
And I realized that I was the drama. And I started to heal. And I just went on vacation with 4 women and had the best time. We went on to Mexico together. We go about once a year on vacation together. So now I've learned friends. So for me,
But I think you're mature now.
I'm mature.
There's
And I'm a good friend, Mimi.
But something happens with maturity. I think it's this immaturity too that drives.
I used to never, ever have friends. I just wouldn't even. And I think a lot of mine, Mimi, was because I was so broken and insecure that everything was a competition to me. And so if I saw that I wasn't included or I wasn't the choice, I would get my feelings hurt. And so I walked around my whole life with walls up because I was afraid of rejection.
hurt.
So that's what this friend sounds like to me. It sounds like to me that you got a friend that
That's
is
broken.
bleeding on people that didn't cut her.
Yes.
And so you're going to have to make the decision. God did not create you to walk around giving medicine to people that like to be sick.
Yes.
And so if you're tired of this type of situation, then you need to have a conversation. I believe in having conversations too.
Don't you think it's amazing how guys can have 3 and 4 and 5 friends? They can hang out together in a group.
But women are so emotional. So for me, what would your answer be? One of my friends tries to make the other friend jealous.
I would be like you. I would have a hard time with that because it's wrong.
Yeah.
It is really wrong.
Yeah.
I'd be looking at this situation or this relationship and seeing if it's worth it.
Yeah. So this is really something, and y'all need to understand something in this podcast today because we're going to be answering a lot of questions. We are not therapists. We are just telling you how we would handle things.
Yes.
If you cause me a lot, y'all, even on my staff, like if I hire somebody and they are causing a lot of riffraff, they're not going to stay long. One thing this year has
They're
taught
not
me.
building relationships.
Yeah.
They're not trying to build relationships. And they're a one-man show.
Yeah.
No,
I have learned this year to hire slow, fire fast.
Yes.
And that's even with my friendships. And so you do not have to keep people in your life just because y'all have history together. And
That's
the
right.
Bible says in Proverbs 3,
I think there's
to
a
guard your heart.
season.
Yeah.
I think we all go through seasons. We know it. Life is seasons.
Well,
We
because
know-
you were just talking about this with one of your best friends. Y'all were best friends forever.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, it's
You
kind
just
of
sort
some
drifted.
distance.
Don't even know why.
But timing.
Yeah, I
Sometimes
still love her so much. But it's like we don't have as much in common.
Yeah, y'all just went different ways.
Yeah.
And that's okay. You
I
don't
still love her. Has nothing to do with that.
You don't beat yourself up over it.
Yeah.
Okay, the next question is, how do you push past rejection when you feel like you have stepped out in faith to do something and it was rejected? No answer at all. How do you push past rejection when you feel like you have stepped out in faith to do something and it was rejected? Not an answer at all.
You know what? You're going to deal with people like this in
Yeah.
your life. This is just part of life. It just is.
Well, for me, you did what God told you to do.
Absolutely.
So you were obedient.
Uh-huh.
Now, you were obedient doesn't mean the other person's going to be obedient.
That is true.
So you did what God told you to do, but that other person, I remember when I got married.
You're not on the same page.
No. I remember when I got married and I was laying in my bed one night and I was so mad at God because he didn't heal my marriage. And I know with everything on the inside of me, I got knocked in the face and I felt it down in my shanana, down in my spirit. You never one time asked me if this was God's will. Yeah. And so a lot of times in life, the reason you listened to the Holy Spirit and did what God told you to do was because God wanted healing for you. He didn't say they were going to reciprocate it.
That's right.
So you did what God told you to do, and it wasn't reciprocated because maybe that other person isn't being obedient to God. And so you did your part. Now you just got to let it go and not take it personal. Mimi always used to tell me this, Kim, it's spiritual, not personal.
And don't take it personal.
So she did what God wanted her to do.
Yes.
And it ain't your fault that they didn't listen to God.
And sometimes though, God will tell us to do something, but it might not even be the time yet. It might have not been the time.
Yeah.
It could happen in a month. It could happen in a year. Who knows? It just might not be the time.
Yeah.
And so, and if Satan can let you get a little chip on your shoulder, but they're not even supporting me in my vision, then he will do whatever.
Yeah.
To keep you to put a wedge between you and leadership or whoever.
And even get mad at God.
Absolutely.
Because when I'm reading this, so much is popping into my spirit because you did what God told you to do.
Yes.
But God didn't promise you what that other person, this was for you, not for them. And so you can't allow the rejection to sneak up on you because I think we do this a lot with God.
Yes. We blame him for everything.
We blame him for everything. Maybe it was your release.
Yes.
Maybe God wanted you to do what you did for that person to find out that person, their time in your life is done. Maybe their no answer is your answer.
Yes. That's good.
Yeah. Sometimes we think the end is the ending, but a lot of times the ending is the best thing
It's the beginning.
Is the beginning.
That's good.
Something has to end so something better can
Absolutely.
begin. Okay, here's another one. Our son was shot and killed 5 months ago. Husband is stuck, rightfully so.
Yes.
I am angry. We are just surviving. Another cousin died last week. It's just so heavy. How do we fight against so much pain?
I think because I lived in a family where we did lose, my little brother. I watched my mom and dad years of them dealing with pain. My dad never talked about it.
Man.
And my dad was the best man I've ever met in my entire life. He was the most humble man, just a God-fearing man. But he never talked about, never. He lived with me 15 years. And even at the end of his life, he never talked about my brother dying.
Man.
It just did something to him, but he kept living.
Yeah.
He kept living, and he would just respond. I mean,
But I think he couldn't because your mom was so,
he was taking care of her.
he had to take care of her. So it's almost like walking through a divorce.
Yeah.
A mama that has her kids or a daddy that has his kids don't get that mourning process because you're so busy just taking care of you're just stepping in. So for me, I would say that it's normal to grieve.
Absolutely. And everybody grieves in a different way.
Yeah. And it's okay.
And it's a process.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter how that loved one died. You're still going to grieve. When my daddy died of dementia, it was like a 5-year progression. Every day it was like mourning over and over again.
In fact, do you remember people telling us afterwards, even the next year, because I started traveling with you?
Yeah. And we were like, dancing on video.
How in the world? How are you doing this? How are you moving on when your husband died? And
everyone was mad at us.
Yes, and we were able to say, we grieved. This was
Isn't
a tragic
kind of
loss.
sad that we even had to say?
Yes. We grieved for so long while he was with us.
Yes.
We were grieving. But
we never let that get into us. Like when people were saying stuff like that, we were just like, you know what? It's people in a free app. We're not going to get upset at that.
And this situation is so different because he tragically was removed from their lives.
Yeah.
And they could not.
And it was a child.
And they could not have controlled it. So yes, you would live in that, oh my God, if I could have, why didn't I do this? Why didn't I protect him? You can't. You can't do that. That's what life's about.
This is where renewing your mind has to come in. This is where you have to realize that God knew. God doesn't let bad
knew
things.
That day was coming.
Yeah, but he doesn't. And I hear this a lot of times too, Mimi. Well, if God's such a good God, why did he let it happen? The Bible says that the rain falls on the just and the unjust.
Yes.
There is just things that are going to happen in this life because we have free will.
Because we're living in a fallen world.
Yeah.
We're living in a world that sin came in the Garden of Eden.
And you know what I would encourage you to do?
Yes.
I would encourage you to start a movement. Absolutely. You've got something to talk about because you have walked through the worst thing that can happen to a parent, which is losing your child.
Yes.
And one thing that I've discovered is that when you flip the flow, when you flip the script on the enemy, on yourself, and you begin to say, I cannot bring my son back, but I can use his death to bring other people to Jesus. And you can begin to talk about how you're grieving, how you're walking through it. I mean, your husband's mad. You could literally, you don't wait until you stop grieving either. You start talking about it in the midst of your grief. Let everyone see you hurting. Because there's somebody out there right now
that's hurting also.
That is hurting also.
Yes.
And you had me and Mimi today being able to pour into you and tell you it hurts. You are rightfully, you are okay to grieve. You are okay to have a meltdown, but now you got to flip the flow. And now you got to begin to talk about how you're doing it on a day to day. I would almost blog. I would almost start a blog. You did it.
I started blogging and wrote a book. After Henry died, I wrote a book, and the name of it was Sleeping with a Stranger.
Yep, Sleeping with a Stranger.
You helped me get that title.
Yep.
And I did that because, somebody asked me a few weeks ago, what does that mean? And I'm like, because my husband got where he didn't know me.
Yeah.
It was Sleeping with a Stranger.
That's so powerful.
Yeah.
Where can they get your book?
Amazon,
Sleeping with a Stranger.
And realtalkkim.org.
Yep, it's on rtkstyle.com. It's in my store.
Yes.
So basically, writing gets it out. You got to get it out. You got to get it out from inside.
And join a support group even. Yeah. There are people that are hurting.
Well, we've got on limitlesschurch.live, we've got so many connect groups that you just meet on Zoom.
Yes.
And you literally build community we've got a grief share connect group. Yes. We've got numerous connect groups where if you're sitting at home grieving, you could at least have the word coming in your house through one of our connect groups, limitlesschurch.live.
And with people that understand.
Yeah.
Because so many people you meet, if they haven't lost a loved one, they don't understand.
Yeah.
If they haven't lost a loved one violently.
Nope.
They would not understand your situation.
Mm-hmm. But I
there are
really
people that
believe,
will.
yeah, there are people that can understand where you're at.
Absolutely.
Celebrate recovery for addictions. Wonderful. We got connect groups for everything. All right, Mimi, here's the next one. How can you tell if it's an actual spiritual warfare or if it's something else?
Well, number one, you don't just go fighting everything that happens to you.
Yeah.
Get in the spirit. Go pray about it.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't pray. They honestly don't even seek God.
Nope.
They just start fighting the situation, fighting each other. And it may not even be each other warring because it's not flesh or blood.
Yeah.
And you can find this, well, of course, it doesn't matter if it's flesh or blood because normally the spirit is behind it all, where that the enemy is going to try to make you fall no matter. He uses people.
Yeah, I really think too, Mimi, we blame a lot of
We
stuff
certainly do.
on spiritual.
Doesn't the devil get...
And it is not
Yes.
spiritual, it's your choices.
Yes, yes.
And until you can get to a place where you're stopped chasing demons and devils after every little corner.
Behind every bush.
Like it's almost
Yes.
like we had a time in our church where we had a couple of people in our church that would
They saw demons
demons everywhere. And I'm like, how come? I guess for me, I'm one that can just look at somebody. Even if I get interrupted in my service with somebody screaming or whatever, I'll be like, stop it. Like we have the power and dominion over us to speak to something and it has to flee. So I believe that whenever, even if it is spiritual warfare, you handle it the same way you do if it's not spiritual warfare. You pray about it, seek God, lay it in
got
God's
the
hands,
power.
and you
Our
get
weapons are
work
not
with God.
carnal.
Yeah.
Our weapons are, and even though they said that, they said it's not, what if it's not spiritual?
How can you tell if it's an actual spiritual warfare, if it's something else? You handle it the same.
Mm-hmm.
Get on your knees.
Yes.
Take it to the throne
Lord,
instead of the
how
phone.
do I do this?
Yes.
This is what I do. I talk to God like I talk to you.
Yep.
And every day, God, how do I handle this? I will ask him questions. And I'm like, God, you tell me what to do. I will do it. I'm ready. I'm open. I'm willing. And that's what I do.
Yeah.
And then I go about my business.
Yep. I love that. So you handle it the same way you do if
Yes.
it was spiritual. Stop thinking too much and
Yes.
just do it. Here's a tough one. You ready for this?
Yes.
The scripture says, if you divorce, remain single or reconcile. What do you do if you know you married the wrong person? You are unequally yoked in your second marriage and don't have a scriptural reason to divorce. Yet you see he's not interested in growing in God. The scripture says, if you divorce, remain single or reconcile. What do you do if you know you married the wrong person? You want me to answer?
I want you to start it. Yes.
For me, who said you married the wrong person?
That's what I'm...
Because once you got married, you made a covenant.
You sure did.
Like marriage is literally deciding to commit. Now, I've been married 3 times. I got married when I was 18 years old. Mimi,
That was 14 months.
Mimi literally says the wedding lasted longer than the marriage. I wanted to get away from her.
We had a 2.5
rebellious.
hour wedding.
We had a two and a half hour wedding. And I literally moved to Tepic, Mexico, knew immediately that this thing wasn't going to work. But I was 18 years old, stupid, dumb. And thank God for deliverance. The second marriage.
For mercy.
For mercy. The second marriage, 18 years, got incredible 2 kids.
Did it immediately.
Immediately jumped right back into another
Fell right
relationship.
into it.
Yep. And that marriage lasted 18 years, but sin took us further than we wanted to go, cost us more than we wanted to pay. And the world ate us up. And I literally ended up back at Mimi's house. The third one, I met him twice and married him because I was trying to get out of her house again
And what did
after
I
a
say?
divorce.
What did I say when he was flying to Atlanta to marry you?
I had never ever preached, so y'all don't think I was not this Kim. But tell him.
I said, baby, what are you going to do? Because she didn't know this guy.
No.
And I'm like, what are you going to do when he gets here and marries you if he's not who you think he is?
I said,
Or
I'll
who
divorce him.
He says he is. She said, I'll divorce him.
But I mean,
But you didn't. He divorced you.
yeah, he ended up divorcing me because I would have stayed in that marriage because I'm so loyal. But here's my point. God is a God of grace and mercy. Mm-hmm. When someone gives you divorce papers, which is what happened to me, all the times I got divorced. Even the first one divorced me.
No.
So Mimi, yeah, he did. The first one divorced me. Like I didn't have to go to court, right? Look, y'all, so much has happened in my life I can't even remember.
I am her historian. I know the detail.
The second one.
That's why I can write with
the
you.
state of Georgia just gave me a divorce, right? So
Yeah.
if I would have allowed myself, now you can't just go divorce this man because you don't love him no more. Like, you're right. You ain't got no scriptural, unless he's
trying.
abusing you.
Yes, and especially, what if you're married to somebody and he may not be growing in God, but he's trying to be a good husband.
Yeah. We just want to get out
What
of
does
it.
the Bible say about a saved wife will save her husband?
Yes. So instead of thinking about, I want out because he won't grow with God, begin to pray about it.
Absolutely.
Begin to walk around your house and say, God, show me how to be the best wife I can be. You don't know what this man is going to become. Because when you became one, listen, you became connected. Now, I know what it's like to be in a marriage
That we're not connected.
I know what it is like.
I know.
And I remember laying in my bed after 18-year marriage, and I said, God, if you see this man is never going to beat this addiction, help me let go.
Well,
And he
happened?
did.
What happened a year before you left? I was praying one day.
Yep.
I was praying in Atlanta, and she was in Florida, and the Lord spoke to me and said, call Kim. And I hardly called her. I would call her, check on her, but she was so independent, she was not telling us what was really going on.
Yeah.
But we knew in the spirit things were happening.
Yep.
And so that day, the Lord said, call Kim and say, is this what you want in 20 years?
Yep.
That was the whole deal. And so I did. I just called her and I said that.
Because nothing's changing.
And that was it. That's all I said. I didn't try to, we didn't carry on a long conversation. God told me to say that. I did. I got off the phone 1 year later.
Yeah.
It took 1 year.
So I guess what I would tell you is pray, man.
Yes.
It is so hard out in these streets.
And God's involved in everything you do.
Yes. Like I would literally ask, and I think because I've been divorced, people think that I'm an advocate for divorce, and I'm so not an advocate. Divorce is the hardest thing you will ever walk through because it's like a part of your soul being ripped out. You've literally got this soul tie with somebody, and it is so rough trying to recover from that. So I would tell you to start working on you.
Yes.
Maybe go to counseling, therapy. I believe in therapy. Go sit down with somebody and say, help me fight through this. Help me know what I need to do so that I don't end up with a soul tie trying to start a relationship. Now listen, I am proof. You know what I started doing, Mimi? I started a year ago, 2 years ago. I literally started 4 years ago when this divorce happened. I literally began to grow, Kim.
Yeah.
I said, you know what? The biggest flaw in my life was wanting toxic relationships. I wanted a man so bad to be like my father that I kept marrying the wrong people because you marry what you are, not what you want. But now I started getting myself better. I started learning to cook. I started working out. I started falling in love with Kim. And I know, listen, I'm going to have the best marriage on the planet. You hear me? So here's what I would tell you. Don't throw somebody away because you think you're more spiritual than them. Don't be trying to browbeat them. Don't be over there making God look bad, because if you're the only Christian they ever know, you could be the very one that's going to shift this thing. So instead of trying to find your exit route,
yes,
begin to pray for God to show you what you need to do to become a better wife and to help this man find God through you. That's what I would say. Mm-hmm. Is that what you say?
And love him.
Daddy wasn't always lovable.
Mm-mm. No, the first 26 years
was hell.
And then the last 26 years were amazing.
Yeah.
Because we chose to love each other even when we didn't like each other.
When you thought you were literally losing your marriage, God turned this thing around. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so you got to make a commitment to yourself that I'm going to fight. I'm going to do everything I can do. And when you see that you've done all you can do, stand. And then when you see God, nobody can tell you what to do in your marriage, really. Only you and God know what you're living in. And so you got to begin to pray for God to give you direction, and pray for God to help you find a way to navigate through this thing so that you're not breaking a part of you. All right. So y'all, we're going to kick this off to break. This has been fun.
Yes.
We're going to kick this off to break. We're going to come right back with a final thought. We're going to answer one more question, and then we're going to kiss you goodbye, and we're going to see you next week. But don't go nowhere. Don't go nowhere. We're just going to break, and we'll be right back. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Real Talk Kim podcast. I have so enjoyed this.
Baby.
Me and you, baby, riding till the wheels fall off. So, Mimi, here's another question. We've got so many good questions.
Awesome.
So we will come back and do another podcast just answering these questions. So let's see. Here's a good one. If you destroy, this is from a gentleman, if you destroy a woman's trust, how would you build it back? If you destroyed a woman's trust, how would you build it back?
You can't demand trust.
Come on,
We
because
know
you've been
this.
here.
I've been there. You can't demand trust. You must earn it. You must earn it.
So you and my dad walked through something 25 years into your marriage, and
26.
your trust got broken.
Yes.
And I remember this like it was yesterday because Morgan was a baby,
Yes.
and I thought y'all were going to get divorced. I thought it was irreparable. How did you, because you forgave my daddy, and you never brought it up again.
I think your dad, though, worked. Number one, he found us a counselor for ministry in Colorado. We went for counseling for a week. And that counselor, I mean, it was intensive with other ministry couples. So he did this. We spent several $1,000s we did not have to do that. But he said, this is worth.
Yeah.
He said, I want to do. And then his deal was whatever it takes. It was a 3-year journey for us.
Yeah.
We went on a 6-week sabbatical. That was something else. And we just went to different places. And I mean, it was about us. And I can still remember one place we went because I didn't know how it was going to happen. I just didn't know it was going to happen. I just really didn't know it was going to work. I can remember we were at one place and we were at a condo upstairs and downstairs and a bathrooms upstairs and downstairs. I can still remember me in the shower of the bathroom downstairs, sliding down the wall of that shower, screaming.
Man.
Just so heartbroken, thinking that this man that I thought was my everything was not. He had failed me, really failed me. And it wasn't, and I realized I couldn't be pretty enough. I couldn't be gorgeous enough. I couldn't be seductive enough. I couldn't do enough to win him. That wasn't what it was about. There was some way that there was a flaw in our marriage.
Oh my gosh.
And I still remember that screaming as I slid down the shower going and me sliding down the shower, just screaming, knowing that with the shower going, he couldn't hear me screaming. And then I didn't let him see me do that. But then, I mean, it was a process for us. I mean, we had conversations. We had deliberate times when we just went off together and we didn't call them dates. You know, people call them date nights now. But I mean, we did things. We went out alone. We went places, just whatever. And he started deliberately figuring things out. And he got where he did something though that probably helped me more than anything. He got where I would watch him because when we were in a crowd, you know, because you would tell me, you would say, Daddy, quit flirting with that
Yeah,
white
I can't stand it when the man looks at another woman and he's with you.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's because it started then.
Yes. And I can still remember that man got where he would never look at a woman in the eye.
Yeah, he didn't.
He would not. I mean, he got where he knew his
I remember
limitations.
even as a kid, he would take me on dates and I would watch him look at other women. And I would just feel like, why would he be looking at other women when he's got my mama? And so I
was
remember
driven
that.
by that.
Yeah.
I didn't know it. I didn't know how bad it was. But of course he fell. And when after he fell, I thought, I can't live past this. I just cannot do this. And I would tell him that. And he said, Ann, I'll do whatever. I can remember packing my bag one day. And I said, I'm out of here. I can't do this. I can't do this with you. And he said, and he is down holding my legs, saying, hold on a minute, I'm going to pack my bag and go with you.
Yeah.
That's the way he was. He would not let me.
Because Mimi,
go.
Mimi, don't you think that you can really tell? Because I know some people that have walked through affairs and marriages, and their marriage became so much better after. Mm-hmm. Because you're just so grateful somebody could forgive you on that level and you become a better spouse. So it's possible.
But you also, when you fall like that, you realize your limitations.
Yeah.
You realize, man, I am susceptible to this, so I cannot go there. I can't do this. I can't open this app. I can't. There's certain things you realize it took a fall for you to get there.
Yeah.
You tampered with it. You played with it. You just, and it happens all the time. I can handle this.
Yeah.
I can handle this. I can handle doing this, because there's something about, there's power in, like, that's why so many ministry, I think leaders fall.
Yeah.
Because there's power, insatiable power in people looking up to you as their leader.
Yeah.
And you don't
and
even.
you think you're invincible.
You think you are. You don't even realize it's not about you. They're looking up to the God in you, the anointing in you, but all of a sudden it becomes about you.
Man.
That's why there's so many leaders have fallen.
Yeah.
So many marriages, ministry marriages are broken.
And so for that gentleman that asked this question, how do I build back my trust? Go to counseling.
Absolutely.
One of the hardest things that I have discovered in marriage counseling, even, because y'all, I'm going to tell you, I failed at marriage. I can tell you how to keep them and how to run them off. And I can tell you how to fight.
Yes.
How to fight.
Yes.
And one of the greatest gifts that I can tell you today is go get counseling. Most men don't want to go get counseling. And this would show her that, man, he is fighting for us. He is fighting for us.
But change those things that caused you to fall.
Yes.
I mean, because she's watching every move you make.
Yeah.
Or he's watching every move you make.
I always say women are the best FBI agents on the planet.
I'm serious. But, you know, because then we didn't have our cell phones. I couldn't track him. I couldn't do Life 360. I didn't have it. I would get the telephone bill and go and look at the numbers that were called for the month. I mean, I did certain things. And when he would leave the house, he'd say, I'm going to the post office. I didn't believe him.
Man.
I didn't believe him. I didn't believe it. So he learned that when I leave, I need to get you to go with me. He got where I was sick of it. And go with me to the post office. And I'm like, oh God. So it got to the point where he did so much that I had to be with him that I was ready for him to go do some things alone. And I realized if he wanted...
But what's so funny is everything you wanted him to become, he became, and then you were like, over it.
I'm serious. He's like, oh, this is too much. But, you know, yes, I mean, you got to go overboard. You got to show her or him in every way that things are changing.
Get rid of your pride.
Yes.
Like, one of the gifts that I have discovered, Mimi, at 51 years old is say you're sorry.
Yes.
Like pride, if we divorce pride, so many relationships would make it.
Yes.
Just saying I'm sorry. You know, don't look at other women when you out with your woman.
That's true.
You know, don't sit
because she's watching.
And wife, quit telling your husband every time a man hits on you.
Yeah.
Like, just stop this petty game stuff and y'all begin to fight together.
Try to please each other.
Yes.
Try to
be best friends
for your mate, not for everybody else.
Yes. And listen to each other.
Yes.
It is work, but it is worth it.
It's worth it.
I say a relationship, the right relationship, when you put in the work, it's like having your favorite meal every day.
Yes.
Yep, you get to spend the night party with your best friend every day. Mimi, thank you so much for being with us here. Do y'all love having Mimi with us? I've so enjoyed it. I think I might have talked Lincoln into coming on one of my podcasts, which is, these two people are y'all's favorites. Y'all love Lincoln and Mimi. And so they're my favorites too. I got one more favorite too, which is Morgan. And I love him so much.
But he works.
Yeah, he works. He's a working boy. A lot of work. Well, Lincoln's
he's
a hard
working too.
Yo,
he's working right now.
I got two very hard-working boys.
Yes.
I'm so proud that this single mama was able to raise two incredible boys that love.
You work hard.
They have watched me work hard.
Yes.
I couldn't even go on vacations working. talking. So y'all, thank you so much for the questions. Thank you for joining us. I pray that an answer to your question happened today or on the last podcast. We're going to do this again in the next couple of weeks. So stay tuned. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for being a part. Thank you for partnering with Real Talk Ministries. Thank you to all of you that call me your pastor at Limitless Church. I love you. We're praying for you. We decree and declare Amos 9:13 out of that Message version that says it won't be long now. God's decree said things are about to happen so fast. Your head is about to spin blessing upon blessing. You won't be able to keep up. Me and me are praying for you. We're rooting for you.
Amen.
And your best is yet to come. We'll see you next week.
Yay Networks.